There comes a moment in every person's life when the mind grows tired of drifting, a moment when the heart whispers, enough wandering, it is time to focus. Today is that moment, not tomorrow, not next week. Now focus is not a gift granted to a chosen few. It is a skill, a discipline, a daily sharpening of the inner blade. When the world pulls you in 1,000 directions, your strength comes from learning to stand still inside yourself, to silence the noise, to choose your direction with clarity, to move with intention instead of impulse. For the next 7 days, challenge yourself not to do more but to do less. Less distraction, less hesitation, less self-doubt. Each morning, return to your breath. Feel how it anchors you in the present moment. Train the mind the way you train the body, with repetition, patience, and unwavering honesty. Do not fear simplicity. It is in simplicity that power reveals itself. When your thoughts begin to scatter, bring them back gently again and again. This is how a wandering mind becomes a focused one. This is how confusion turns into clarity. This is how 7 days become a lifetime of mastery. Remember, you are not here to merely survive the day. You are here to shape it, to direct your energy like a beam of light, to act with purpose instead of reacting out of habit. And so stand tall, breathe deeply, and claim your focus, not with force but with commitment, not through struggle but through awareness. Now rise, step forward with a clear mind and a steady heart. Let today be the day you stop scattering your power and begin using it. Your life is waiting for your focus. Take action now. For the next 7 days, challenge yourself not to do more but to do less. Less distraction, less hesitation, less self-doubt. This idea may feel unfamiliar in a world that constantly pushes you to be faster, louder, and endlessly productive. But true focus is not built by piling new tasks on top of an already crowded mind. It is built by clearing away the unnecessary, the trivial, the habitual noise that eats up your attention without giving anything meaningful in return. When you deliberately choose to simplify your environment and your actions, you reclaim a tremendous amount of mental power that has been scattered across countless small impulses. Each day, begin by observing how often your attention is pulled away from what matters. Notice how quickly your hand reaches for your phone at the slightest pause, how your mind jumps from thought to thought without direction, how easily you drift into tasks that feel productive but keep you busy instead of effective. This awareness is the first step toward building laser focus. You cannot change what you never take the time to notice. As you become more aware, you will start to recognize patterns, certain times of day when your mind feels clouded, certain habits that drain your energy, certain environments that make you restless. Understanding these patterns allows you to interrupt them. Next, introduce intentional pauses throughout your day. Instead of rushing from one activity to the next, take a moment to breathe and check in with yourself. Ask, is this truly what I need to be doing right now? Is this aligned with my direction? These pauses act like the sharpening stone against the blade of your mind. They cut through automatic behavior and bring you back to deliberate action. You begin to move with greater clarity, and every decision becomes a conscious choice rather than a reflex. Reducing distraction also means setting boundaries, not only with others but with yourself. Set specific times to work, to rest, to train, to disconnect. When you commit fully to a block of focused time, you train your mind to sustain attention. When you commit fully to a block of rest, you allow your mind to recover. This balance is essential. Focus is not simply about intensity, it is about rhythm. Even the sharpest sword must be placed back in its sheath to avoid dulling. And as you strip away distractions, you will confront hesitation. Hesitation often arises from uncertainty, questioning whether you are capable, whether your direction is correct, whether your efforts will be enough. But hesitation is nothing more than a cloud passing through the sky of the mind. It is temporary, and it dissolves when you bring your attention back to the present moment. By simplifying your focus, you create fewer opportunities for hesitation to take root. You act with more confidence because your path is no longer divided into 100 competing priorities. Finally, notice how the absence of distraction amplifies your inner strength. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. What once seemed complicated reveals a simple structure underneath. By doing less, you create the space for your natural clarity and discipline to rise. Each morning, return to your breath. Feel how it anchors you in the present moment, how it draws you out of yesterday's weight and tomorrow's worries. The breath is not just air moving in and out of your lungs, it is a reminder that everything begins with awareness. When you commit to starting each day with this simple act, you are training your mind to awaken with purpose rather than stumbling into the day already pulled by distractions. This daily ritual becomes a signal to your mind. Focus begins now. In the quiet rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, you learn to direct your attention inward, away from noise and toward clarity. As you cultivate this practice, you'll notice how your breath can change the quality of your thoughts. When the breath is calm, the mind naturally settles. When the mind settles, the layers of agitation, worry, and restlessness begin to peel away. Instead of being tossed around by your thoughts, you begin to observe them. You begin to understand how quickly the mind wanders, how often it clings to unnecessary worries or old memories. This awareness is not a sign of failure, it is the doorway to mastery. By seeing the mind clearly, you gain the power to redirect it. The breath becomes the tool that guides you back every time you drift. Training the mind the way you train the body means embracing repetition without frustration. Just as a muscle strengthens through consistent movement, focus deepens through consistent returning. Each time your thoughts scatter and you bring them back to your breath, you are reinforcing a mental pathway. You are teaching your mind to follow your command rather than chasing every impulse. Over days and weeks, this repeated returning becomes easier. What once required effort becomes natural. What once felt chaotic begins to feel spacious. You start to rely on your breath as a companion, a steady presence that helps you navigate every challenge, every moment of stress, every moment of distraction. Patience plays a crucial role in this process. The modern world conditions you to expect instant results, immediate transformation, but inner discipline does not grow this way. It grows slowly, steadily, through small acts of commitment repeated daily. Discipline does not grow this way. It grows slowly, steadily, through small acts of commitment repeated day after day. When you approach your practice with patience, you release the pressure to be perfect. You allow yourself to learn. You allow yourself to grow. You understand that each breath is a chance to begin again, no matter how scattered your mind may have been moments before. Honesty is equally important. When you sit with your breath, there is nothing to hide behind. No distractions, no excuses, no roles or masks. It is you meeting yourself exactly as you are. Some moments will feel peaceful, others uncomfortable. Some mornings your mind will be quiet, others it will race with thoughts. This honesty is not a barrier but a teacher. It shows you how your mind behaves when you stop trying to control it and simply observe. And through this observation, you gain insight into your patterns, where you lose focus, what triggers tension, how quickly your mind jumps ahead. These insights are the raw material for transformation. Little by little, this daily return to your breath strengthens your ability to stay present during the challenges of the day. It becomes easier to remain centered when distractions arise, easier to choose where to place your attention, easier to respond with clarity rather than react from impulse. What begins as a simple morning ritual becomes a powerful foundation that shapes the entire rhythm of your day. Next, introduce intentional pauses throughout your day. In a world that prizes constant motion and endless activity, the idea of stopping can feel unnatural or even uncomfortable. Yet these pauses are not moments of weakness, they are acts of profound strength. Each pause is an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to regain clarity, and to ensure that every action you take is deliberate rather than automatic. Without them, the mind becomes overextended, fragmented, and reactive, swept along by the currents of habit, obligation, and distraction. By deliberately creating space between actions, you give yourself the power to choose your response instead of being pulled by external pressures. Start by observing your natural rhythm. Notice where the day accelerates and where it slows, and then insert small pauses in these transitions. A pause does not need to be long. Even a few deep breaths, a moment of silence, or a simple acknowledgement of what you are about to do can reset your mind. These moments act as a hinge between what has passed and what is coming, allowing you to step forward with attention fully engaged. Over time, these pauses accumulate, creating a sense of continuity and coherence in your actions rather than a series of scattered reactions. During these pauses, train yourself to check in with your intentions. Ask, what am I doing right now and why? Is this aligned with my goals, my purpose, my deeper vision? This practice turns ordinary actions into deliberate You begin to recognize when your energy is being wasted on things that do not matter, when your mind is being hijacked by habit or impulse, and when your attention is fragmented by trivial concerns. The pause allows you to intervene before distraction takes hold, giving you the chance to redirect your focus to what is meaningful. Intentional pauses also serve as a mirror to your inner state. When you stop for a moment, you see the undercurrents of stress, anxiety, or scattered thoughts that often go unnoticed in constant motion. This awareness is essential for mastery of focus because you cannot correct what you do not see. By confronting these inner currents calmly, without judgment, you begin to understand your mind's patterns. You notice how quickly it jumps to worry, how easily it is swayed by external noise, and how often it clings to familiar but unproductive habits. Recognition of these patterns is the first step toward transforming them. Furthermore, these pauses cultivate presence. The more you practice stepping out of autopilot, even briefly, the more your mind learns to inhabit the present moment fully. Actions that might have been rushed or mechanical are now performed with intention and precision. Decision-making improves because you are no longer reacting from a state of scattered thought. Creativity flourishes because the mind is not overburdened by constant motion. Even mundane tasks take on a new dimension as attention fully attends to what is happening in the here and now. Over time, the habit of intentional pauses rewires your mental patterns. You develop resilience against distraction and an inner rhythm that supports sustained focus. Pauses are no longer interruptions but essential instruments in the orchestration of your day. Each pause becomes a small reset, a chance to realign with your purpose, and a reminder that focus is not about doing more, it is about being fully present with what you are doing. Reducing distraction also means setting boundaries. Not only with others but most importantly with yourself. In a world saturated with notifications, endless options, and constant demands on your attention, boundaries are the invisible walls that protect your energy and your mind. Without them, focus is impossible, because attention is constantly siphoned away by external pressures and internal impulses. Setting boundaries is not about avoiding responsibility or isolating yourself. It is about creating the conditions under which your mind can operate at its highest capacity. It is about consciously choosing where your energy flows so that it is not diluted across 1,000 directions. Start by defining your work periods with clarity. When you commit to focused work, eliminate interruptions completely. Turn off notifications, close unrelated tabs, and create a physical or mental space that signals to your brain this is time for undistracted attention. The mind functions best when it knows that boundaries are firm and predictable. By protecting these blocks of time, you allow your brain to settle into a deep state of concentration, where ideas can connect and insights can emerge naturally. Even short, uninterrupted periods of focused attention yield far more productivity than long stretches of fragmented effort. Equally important are boundaries around rest and recovery. Many people underestimate how much energy is lost when the mind is never allowed to rest. By defining clear times for rest, meditation, or quiet reflection, you give your nervous system a chance to reset. During these periods, the mind is not empty, it is organizing, processing, and preparing for the next challenge. When boundaries protect rest as fiercely as work, you create a rhythm of energy that sustains focus rather than depleting it. Boundaries also extend to your commitments and relationships. Learn to say no to requests or demands that do not align with your priorities. It is not selfish, it is necessary for mastery. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your deeper purpose. When you consciously choose which engagements deserve your presence, your attention becomes more potent, more directed, and more capable of creating meaningful outcomes. The discipline of saying no is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating sustained focus. Internal boundaries matter as much as external ones. Train yourself to recognize when your mind is wandering into rumination, fear, or overthinking. When these patterns arise, gently redirect attention back to your chosen task. You are not suppressing thought, you are guiding it with clarity. Each time you enforce this internal boundary, you strengthen the neural pathways that support concentration, resilience, and deliberate action. Over time, this internal discipline becomes second nature, allowing focus to emerge effortlessly, even amidst chaos. Finally, recognize that boundaries are dynamic, not rigid. They evolve as your goals, energy levels, and circumstance change. The key is not perfection, but consistent practice. Each boundary you set, each space you protect, becomes a foundation upon which focus grows. By deliberately controlling the flow of attention, Externally through schedules and environment, internally through awareness and self-discipline, you build a mental landscape where concentration is natural, energy is preserved, and clarity is inevitable. You're now using our basic model, and as you strip away distractions, you will confront hesitation. Hesitation is the subtle thief of progress. It creeps into the mind disguised as caution, self-reflection, or the desire to be ready. Yet most often, hesitation is simply fear wearing a mask. It is the mind's resistance to uncertainty, to action, to stepping beyond the familiar. When focus is cultivated, hesitation becomes more visible. It is no longer hidden in the background noise of a busy life but exposed in sharp relief, challenging you directly. Confronting it is not a sign of weakness, it is an essential part of mastery. Each moment of hesitation is an invitation to examine your beliefs, your assumptions, and the stories you tell yourself about what is possible. Hesitation often arises from uncertainty. The mind questions whether your efforts will succeed, whether the path is correct, whether you are capable. These doubts are natural, but they lose their power when met with awareness. Awareness allows you to distinguish between constructive reflection and paralyzing fear. Constructive reflection evaluates options and gathers information. Paralyzing fear stalls action and drains energy. By observing hesitation without judgment, you begin to dismantle its grip. You see it for what it is, a temporary state, not an immutable condition. This confrontation with hesitation requires courage, quiet, consistent, and disciplined courage. It is the willingness to act even when clarity is partial, when conditions are imperfect, and when the outcome is uncertain. True focus does not wait for perfect circumstances. It creates momentum despite doubt. Each small action you take in the face of hesitation strengthens your confidence, proving to yourself that the mind is capable of moving beyond fear. This repetition builds an internal feedback loop. Action diminishes hesitation, and diminished hesitation strengthens your capacity for deliberate action. Hesitation also thrives on overthinking. When the mind is cluttered with too many possibilities, it becomes trapped in indecision. By stripping away distractions and focusing on the essential, you reduce the mental noise that fuels hesitation. The clearer your priorities, the less room there is for doubt to take hold. The simpler and more deliberate your actions, the easier it becomes to act decisively. In this way, focus and courage work hand in hand. The sharper your focus, the more effectively you confront hesitation. The more you confront hesitation, the more your focus deepens. Furthermore, hesitation can be transformed into a teacher. Each moment you pause to question yourself reveals where your attachment, fear, or resistance lies. By examining hesitation, you uncover hidden insecurities, limiting beliefs, and untested assumptions. This self-knowledge is a powerful tool, because insight without action is incomplete. Action, guided by awareness, transforms hesitation from a barrier into a stepping stone. Each choice you make in the face of hesitation builds resilience, trains decisiveness, and strengthens your ability to navigate uncertainty with composure. Over time, hesitation loses its authority over your mind. You begin to act with clarity even when the path is unclear. The habitual second-guessing fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of deliberate action. Your energy is no longer sapped by indecision, and your mental clarity sharpens. The mind learns to trust itself, not because it is infallible, but because it repeatedly proves it can move forward, adapt, and recover. This is the hidden power of confronting hesitation. It transforms fear into momentum, paralysis into action, and doubt into unwavering focus. Finally, notice how the absence of distraction amplifies your inner strength. When the mind is no longer pulled in 1,000 directions, energy consolidates, clarity emerges, and decisions become effortless. Distractions scatter attention, fragment energy, and create a sense of constant fatigue. Removing them is akin to sharpening a blade that has grown dull. Each moment of undivided attention allows the mind to fully engage with the task at hand, and in that engagement, strength is born. Strength is not merely physical, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual. It is the capacity to act decisively, to endure patiently, and to maintain balance amidst chaos. By stripping away the unnecessary, you begin to realize that the core of your power has always been within you, waiting to be focused and harnessed. As distractions fade, you become more attuned to your own rhythms and capacities. You begin to sense when your energy is optimal for action and when it is best to rest. This self-awareness allows you to allocate effort more effectively, channeling energy where it produces the greatest result, rather than dispersing it in vain attempts to multitask. You discover that your mind, when free from clutter, can operate with a precision and efficiency that is almost instinctual. Every thought, every decision, every movement becomes deliberate. This is the essence of inner strength, not doing more, but doing better with intention and mastery. The absence of distraction also cultivates resilience. When you are no longer dependent on external stimuli to validate your attention or pull your focus, you become self-reliant. You learn to navigate uncertainty, to tolerate discomfort, and to persist without constant reassurance. In this space, challenges are no longer overwhelming obstacles but opportunities to apply your begin to act from a position of grounded power rather than reactive desperation. Each decision made from this place of focus reinforces your confidence, creating a feedback loop where clarity begets strength and strength begets greater clarity. Clarity and strength reinforce each other because undistracted attention allows you to perceive connections and patterns that were previously invisible. When the mind is scattered, possibilities appear fragmented, tasks seem endless, and goals feel distant. But when focus is applied, complexity simplifies, priorities align, and solutions reveal themselves naturally. You realize that much of what felt impossible was never about your ability, it was about your attention being diffused across too many directions. By concentrating your energy, you unlock insight and creativity, enabling you to solve problems with greater ease and innovate beyond your previous limitations. Moreover, the amplification of inner strength manifests in emotional stability. Distraction often heightens anxiety, irritability, and impulsiveness because the mind is unable to process fully what is happening in the present. When distractions are removed, you can respond rather than react. Emotions are experienced with awareness, tension is released more easily, and judgment is sharpened. Strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. You develop the ability to remain calm in the face of challenge, composed when pressure rises, and steady when uncertainty. As this inner strength grows, so does your sense of purpose. Actions become aligned with intention, energy becomes coherent rather than scattered, and the mind operates with precision. What once required immense effort to maintain focus now becomes natural, almost effortless. You recognize that distraction is the enemy of potential, and by removing it, you create the conditions for consistent, sustainable growth. In this state, your capabilities expand, your confidence solidifies, and your sense of mastery over your life deepens.